We're here in Wexford Park to preview the 4 football county finals that are going to take place here at the weekend. And we're in under the tunnel because the weather outside is atrocious this evening, and I think, judging by the weather forecast, we'll have similar weather at the weekend, so maybe, lads, that might play a factor in what's going to take place at the weekend. But the first final is on Saturday at 1:30, and it's the junior football final between Monageer-Boolavogue and Naomh of Gorey. So we'll just get Colm's opinion on maybe how this game might go, and then we'll get Brian and David's opinion after that.
Yeah, they seem to be, Monageer seem to be playing well in the latter stages of the competition, and I think they've been in 3 finals now recently, so I'd actually give them a nod and think that, you know, that'll drive them on, and I think that might get them through the experience of losing and make it way up the grade. So I'm going to go for Monageer winning that one.
And Brian?
Yeah, I think I'd go with Colm on that one. Monageer had a good win the weekend over Kilrush, and Gorey have come from behind in their last 2 games to win. They were behind at half time in the quarter final and the semi final, and they've come from behind to win both games, so that's probably a good sign for them. But I kind of go with Colm. Monageer can call on their few years experience in the final, and they probably should have enough to see it through this weekend.
And David?
Yeah, likewise, I'm going for Monageer this weekend. I know the 2 teams came up against each other earlier on in the year in the group stages, and Gorey prevailed, but I'd have a feeling the result might be reversed this weekend. I mean, it's good to see Monageer back challenging again in the final. I mean, 15-20 years ago they were in the top intermediate grade, and I mean, possibly have concentrated that bit more on hurling over the last few years, but I mean, be good to see Monageer, and especially it being a first team against the second team, no disrespect to Gorey, moving up the grades, so Monageer for me. And
I'll make no comment on it, but the second game here in Wexford Park that evening is at 4:45, and it's between Glynn-Barntown's second team and Adamstown in the Intermediate A Football Championship. So David, we'll give you the first crack at this one. How do you think it'll go?
Yeah, it's a game I'm looking forward to. I'd expect a nice free-flowing, high-scoring game. Both teams have been racking up high scores, particularly in the knockout stages. Both teams are full of talent. A lot of experience. Go to Glynn-Barntown, we mentioned their experience last week all the way up the middle. They've got Pádraig Donnelly at full back, Craig Doyle at centre back, Michael Doyle middle of the field, Barry Doyle centre forward, and now they have Gary Delaney back in the full forward, and obviously Shane Wiles is flying as well for Glynn-Barntown. So they've strength all over, and again I mentioned the second team aspect of it. For a second team, they've huge strength and depth obviously out in Glynn-Barntown. Shane went off with an injury, I believe, last week, and he's been racking up the score, so that'll be crucial coming into this weekend. On the Adamstown side of things, they look like they've really got a bit of momentum behind them this year. They've got scoring power also. Colm Feeney, Conor Hickey, Paddy Barden all seem to be racking up the scores, and then Mikey Furlong's having a fantastic year in the middle of the field, getting a score every day. Looking back at the semi-final last week, I didn't see James Breen on the team sheet. If he returns this weekend, it'll be an added bonus for Adamstown, and then Sean Barden as well in the corner. Good. They've got strength all over the field, and so it's a particularly high quality lineup on both sides for an Intermediate A final. Added into the fact, I suppose, the Aidan O'Brien running the line with senior inter-county experience, etc. It should make for a good game. I'm definitely tipping Adamstown again. I like in the junior final. I just think the first team experience, i.e. Adamstown, senior, they only got relegated in 2016, I think it was, from senior, and have fallen down another grade. So I mean, they look like they have the bit between their teeth this year, Peter, and I'd be tipping Adamstown to make a return to top intermediate.
And Brian, as David just mentioned there, Adamstown have been relegated a couple of times in the last few years, whilst Glynn-Barntown were last year's junior winners, and now they've already made a big step up to the Intermediate A final.
Yeah, sometimes teams can get a bit of momentum like that through a few years, something similar to Cushinstown. But yeah, I think Adamstown will have too much for them. Glynn-Barntown were very dominant last week against Ross. See, in the middle of the field, they dominated. I don't think they'll have that kind of dominance with Micheál Furlong and Barry Power in the middle of the field for Adamstown. I just think, you know, Adamstown have racked up big scores. Adamstown actually beat him in the first game of the championship by 6 points, but that mightn't have that much bearing on the match this weekend. But it was a funny sort of group because Clongeen then beat Adamstown, and Glynn-Barntown scored 6-6, I think, or something to put themselves through in the last game, and also that brought Adamstown through with him.
A very, very strong group, that, Brian, really, considering last year Clongeen were the finalists.
Yeah, I think, you know, the three teams, when they saw that group, would have you know, said there's going to be a big casualty there, and it ended up being Clongeen, and you know, you would have expected to see Clongeen at the latter end of this if they had been in another group for certain. I just think as well, like David alluded to, like with Aidan on the line and Brendan Keogh's involved as well, you know, that they have seriously good men over the team, and they look, you know, they look like they have a lot of momentum. They you know, they're after getting big scores, and I think even though Glynn have, you know, they have a lot of experienced players on their junior team, and probably some players that would make a lot of senior teams. You know, I mean, Gary Delaney, I think their full forward line the last game might score 212 between the three of them. You know, that's big scoring as well. But you know, Larkin French is full back, and I don't see Glynn getting as many scores as they got the last day. I think Adamstown could win this by the same as maybe what they won the first day, 5 or 6 points.
And Colm, then, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that if you're going from 1 to 15, Adamstown would probably, you know, if you're to rate them all out of 10, I think Adamstown might have, you know, 2 or 3 points to spare at the end of that one. The last day I don't think Gary was playing. I can't underestimate how big a factor Gary can be whenever you get the right ball to him, and you know, and get him into a bit of space. He's lethal, and he'll tip away at the freeze there as well, and another week under his belt is going to, you know, football under his belt is going to bring him on. But just for strength wise, and you know, strength all over the field, I'd probably have to say I'd fancy Adamstown to go back up to intermediate. To have a crack at Cushinstown. I'm sure they didn't like to miss them on the way up, so that's, you know, local derby factor. They're going to be chomping at the bit to get back, and Adamstown wouldn't stop at wanting to just get to intermediate. They'd feel that they should be up in senior ranks, as they have been for years. So that's the kind of vision and hunger, I suppose, that you're looking at in Adamstown. So I just think that might be a defining factor at the end of the day. With, you know, 1 to 15, I just think they're a small bit stronger, but I don't think there's going to be a whole lot in this game.
And the way the fixtures fell, I haven't actually seen Adamstown yet, but I saw Glynn-Barntown last weekend and I was mightily impressed with them. So I'm going to go against the three lads. I'm going to tip Glynn-Barntown. They're by far the strongest second team in the county, and I think they do have what it takes to win this game.